Welcome to Water Supply and Wastewater Engineering class. So this is our lecture number 5 and we are into unit 3, that is unit processes in municipal water treatment plant. So today will be lecture number 5. We'll be starting our water treatment, that is preliminary treatment, which today we'll be starting in preliminary treatment only the aeration part. So before going into the actual lecture, let me recapitulate what we have learned till now to make sure that we are all in the same page. So what we have learned in the lecture 1 and lecture 2, at the beginning lectures we have discussed about the source of water. So in the water supply treatment plant, we need the source of water, right? So in the beginning we have seen the source of water and then the different characteristics of water. Then in the lecture 2, we have discussed about the population forecasting, because the water treatment plant which we are designing right now, that will be serviceable for next 25-30 years. So we have to take care about the populations after 25-30 years, and accordingly then we have to design the entire water treatment plant. So that we have seen different methods were used and we have seen the different parameters. Now in the lecture 3 we have discussed about the intake structure. So in what is intake structure? So basically already we have identified the source of water. So now we have to collect the water from the source. So that source collection will be done through the intake structure. So for example, if this is a river, right, river is our source of water and here we have the water treatment plant. So in the water treatment plant, different units or chambers are there anyway. So first we have to collect. So water is flowing from in this direction, right? Like that water is flowing. So first step is to collect the water. So to collect the water, we make a structure on a river or it may be on a reservoir. That structure we call it intake structure. So now from the intake structure, basically through pipes and conveyor pipes, basically water is coming into our water treatment plant. So we have seen different types of pumps as well as we have seen the conveyance where the water is coming. So now the raw water or the untreated water is already came into our water treatment plant. Now in the lecture 4, that is in the last lecture, we have seen the design philosophy of water treatment plant. So how water treatment has done is performed actually on field. So water actually passes through different chambers and each chamber filters out different parameter of pollutant. So depending on the pollution level in the raw water supply, the treatment plant has to be designed accordingly. So if we collect the water from the surface source, in that case, the dissolves oxalides, floating objects, many things will be there on a but on the water, raw water. So we have to collect water and we have to filter out accordingly. So that we have seen in the last lecture. So from where if you are collecting the water from the surface water, then what are the treatments you have to do it, and if you are collecting the water from the underground source, in that case what are the treatments you have to do it. So that we have seen in the last lecture. So now this lecture 5, where we are starting our actual treatment, that is preliminary treatment, which is aeration. Yeah. So so here in the primary treatment of water, basically what we do is the aeration. So as we have seen in earlier classes also, basically we have characterized the water into different parameters. First one is the physical characteristics. So under the physical characteristics, basically we find it out the odor or any taste, color, all these parameters present in the water that we are measuring out. So normally what happens if the pollutant is present in a water, so water will be smelly, right? Because many inorganic matters will be present in the water. So and also the oxygen level on a water will be less because of the more pollution. So what we have to do, so if for our drinking water purpose, we have seen in the last slide also what is the standard value for odor, or what is the standard value for the oxygen level to be present in the water. Sometimes what happens, the volatile gases are also mixed on a water. So in this aeration process is a fast treatment. So when the water coming from the source to the treatment plant, the first step follows is the aeration. So in the aeration, what it removes the odor and the taste due to the volatile gases like hydrogen sulfide and due to the algae and related organism. So what happens is actually the sometimes the volatile gases are actually dissolved into the water. So in this aeration process, in the upcoming slides, I'll be showing you in details what is basically aeration. But basically aeration is a process basically where we are removing the odor. Odor means if any smell is there on a water, that will be removed. And if any volatile gases are present on a water like hydrogen sulfide or many other process, that will be removed in this process. Now the next step is aeration is also aeration also oxidizes iron and manganese, increase dissolved oxygen content in the water. So basically in the aeration process, the or dissolved oxygen content will be increased. Oxygen content will be increased into the water, and it removes the CO2, carbon dioxide present in the water, that will be automatically removed. It reduces the corrosion and removes the methane and other flammable gases. So that's what. So in the pollution, in a pollutant water, there are also many other organic and these unorganic matters will be present in the water, and after decomposition of those organic matters, basically this methane and many toxic gases will be dissolved in the water. So that we have to remove it from the water, and we have to add the oxygen into the water, right? So all the gases whichever is present in the water, that has to be removed, and oxygen, as more as possible oxygen we have to add it into the water. So in this aeration is a process. In the next slide I'll be explaining how we are actually doing the aeration. But basically aeration, you understand, a process in which basically we are removing these toxic gases from the water, and we are adding more oxygen content into the water. So the principle of treatment underlies on the fact that volatile gases in water escapes into the atmosphere from the air-water interface, and atmospheric oxygen takes place in water, provided the water body can expose itself over the vast surface to the atmosphere. So what it means is, the principle of aeration is basically, here if you mm, so the whatever toxic gases will be present in the volatile gases will present in, that will go to atmosphere, by the air water interface. We'll see how air water interface forms in the aeration, and basically oxygen also will be present in the water. So the type of aeration. So next is type of aeration. So here we have the four different types of aerator available for the water treatment plant. So depending on the cost of the project, depending on our budget, and depending on the the quality of water, quality of raw water, we can choose which aerator we can use for our aeration purpose. So the first aeration type is the gravity aeration. Next is fountain aeration. Third one is diffused aerator, and the fourth one is mechanical aerator. So now we'll be seeing one by one each type of aerator in details. So now, as I mentioned, the first type of aerator is basically gravity aerator, or we sometimes call it cascade aerator also. So what is the gravity aerator? You can understand by the name itself. Gravity means here we are using the gravity force to, for our aeration purpose. So here you can see this type of structure you will be seeing on a real life water treatment plant if you visit. So what is this type of structure? So basically water will be collected, right? Let me draw the figure here. So maybe somewhere you have the river water stream where water is flowing in this direction, right? And we have the water treatment plant somewhere here. So here you have the water treatment plant. So basically through intake structure, basically water is coming into our water treatment plant. So the first step in a water treatment plant is this one. So first, whenever water reaches to water treatment plant, first water goes into this aeration tank. So in that, what we are doing, basically, some pipe will be connected. So this entire incoming water will be simply connected through. So below this structure, basically, this type of pipes are there. You can imagine this is a fountain type something. So what we do, so river water, we are collecting it from here, and basically below this structure, basically this type of pipe will be there. So through pumping, basically water will be pumped up to this level, and from here, basically water is coming out. You can see all four directions. So inside the structure, basically this type of pipes are there. Through this pipe, water we are discharging up to this point. So now after that, what will happen? Because of the gravity force, now water will come down, right? Because of gravity force. So simply step structure is made up of this one. And because of this gravity, basically water will come from each step, and ultimately at the end, basically all periphery, we have the drains where we are collecting the water. Then water will be collected through these drains, and it will pass to the next chamber. So this is another example of gravity editor. Basically here you can see the water will be discharged from here, and multiple steps basically we are making. And so why we are making the steps? So you understand in the first slide also, the main objective in the aeration is basically to remove any gases or dissolved gases present in the water, as well as we want to add more as much as possible oxygen to the water. So what we do basically, if water falls from something like this step by step, what will happen? That turbulence will be generated inside the water body. So now water will be more exposed to the environment, right? So if any, because of this turbulence into the water, So what happens is that if any dissolved gases are present in the water, or any methane type gases are present in the water, it will simply come out. It will be exposed to the environment and it will come out. So this is the main objective. Main objective means as much as possible we are basically shaking the water. We are dropping. So see, each drop water is dropping from top height. So when the impact happens in this floor, basically because of this impact, the dissolved gases will be escaped from here. And also and in the environment, basically the oxygen is present in the air, right? So that air oxygen will simply come in contact with the water in these levels, and the more water will be connected or solved, basically uh, dissolved into the water. So that is the actual purpose of adhesion. So basically water will be thrown from the top level, and through gravity actually water will come down, and each step whenever it drops from one step to another step, because of this impact the dissolved gases will come out, and the oxygen present in the atmosphere will simply go into the water. So because of this aeration, basically the water quality improves. All the smell which is present because of the dissolved gases will be simply removed, and the more oxygen will be connected, more oxygen will be dissolved into this water. So this type of aeration we call it gravity aeration, because we are using the gravity force for the aeration purpose. So in gravity aeration, water is allowed to fall by gravity such that the large area of water is exposed to the atmosphere, sometimes aided by the turbulence. So basically this type of turbulence will be generated, right? Because of that water will be purified, means the gases will be coming out. So now the second type of aerator we call it is the fountain aerator. So you can see this type of, when you visit any water treatment plant, you can see in some water treatment plant that gravity aerator use, some they use this type of fountain type of aerator. So what is this fountain type of aerator? Here also, as I mentioned, the same water will become collected from the source, right? Water is flowing in this direction, water will be collected, and through intake structure, and this intake structure pipe will be connected here, like that water pipe will be there. Okay, so here basically this raw water will be coming, and through pump is installed, right? Pump is installed somewhere. So through pumping, basically you are collecting the water, and in heavy speed, basically you are pushing the water such that it makes a fountain, right? You can see this is a fountain structure. So very high pressure, basically you are releasing the water, so it becomes a fountain structure. So now because of this fountain, basically what we have is so many turbulence will be happening when the water is coming out, and see water is now exposed to the environment. So when it is on the on a flight, so basically what happens, it is exposed to the environment also. So whatever gases, dissolved gases are present in the water, it will come out and again dissolve, and the oxygen from the atmosphere will simply go into the water. So this type of process we call it fountain aerator. Here the pumping is required. We are pumping water and we are throwing it at the up. So this type of aerator also you will see in the many water treatment plants. So depending on the budget, depending on our capacity, how much water we have to resolve, how much we have to treat, right? So we can choose the appropriate aerator. So if we use, so here you can understand, compared to the gravity aerator's efficiency will be less, but here the efficiency will be high, because here we are throwing the pump water very high, and so that water will be more contact with the environment, so that the dissolved oxygen will be more in the water, and also the gases will be escaping quickly. So these are also known as the spray aerator, right? This is, we are basically spraying the water with a special nozzle. Here so many nozzles will be there, which produces the fine spray. See, this spray is very fine spray. Okay, not a wide water drop, but it is a very fine water drop. So each nozzle is basically 2.5 to 4 centimeter diameter. Now you can imagine 5 centimeter means total means this may be, so this is the nozzle's diameter. So it is 2.5 to 5 centimeter diameter and discharges about 18 to 36 liter per hour. So it is per hour to 18 to 36 liter each fountain will release. Like that, if you install, you can install the multiple fountains in a aeration tank. So the nozzle spacing also should be such that each meter cube of water has a aerated area of this much in 1 hour. So multiple this type of fountain we can install it on a aerated tank. So each the spacing should be such that each meter cube of water has a aerated area 0.03 to 0.09 meters square per 1 hour. Okay, that based on that we can find it out what could be the spacing of each aerator. So this is also very much efficient compared to the gravity aerator, because here we are floating the water into top, and water and the and we are making a fine spray, right? Because of the fine spray, the more quantity of water particle will be exposed to the environment, and the aeration will take place very in a high rate. So now in the next type of aerator is we call it injection or the diffused aerator. So this type, so when if we have the budget of a water treatment that is very high, or we want to treat the water in a very high for the large city, so in that case we can use injection or diffused aerator. So in that what we do, so this type of pipes will be laid at the bottom of this entire is the aeration tank. So this entire thing we call it aeration tank. In the aeration tank at the bottom, see, this type of pipes will be laid down. Okay, so each pipe will have some nozzles. You can see these are the nozzles. Okay, and through this pipe basically air will be circulated, high pressure air will be circulated. So now what happens, once the water is collected from the surface, surface resource, so like this is river water, so through intake structure you are collecting the water, and we are filling this entire tank. So we are filling this entire tank with this raw water. Okay, somewhere we are filling this entire tank. So now once water is filled, now we are basically passing the air through this nozzle. So basically these are the pipes, see, these are the connected to the main machine, right? So here through pumping, basically we are pumping the air. So this is entire thing is underwater now, under raw water, and we are pumping the air through these nozzles. So now this bubble will form at the bottom, and this bubble will simply go up. So like that basically we are adding more number of oxygens, more quantity of oxygens into the water, and also the gases will be escaped. So you can see this large aquariums will be there, right? That fish aquarium. In that you can see this type of one inject water air will be injected from the bottom of this aquarium. Then the water bubble or the air bubble will simply pass through the entire aquarium water. Okay, so that basically we are adding more quantity of water, more quantity of oxygen into the water, so that the aquatic life present in the aquarium will sustain. So basically this is we call it injection or diffused aerator. So here we do at the bottom, basically we install this small types of you know nozzles, and there we are passing the air. So basically this air bubble will form from the bottom to it goes up to up. So that basically whatever oxygen is present in the air, it will dissolve into the water, and ultimately the oxygen level will increase. So it consists of a tank with a perforated pipe. So this is what I am talking about. This is a perforated pipe, means the holes are there in this pipe, or tubes, or the diffused plates fixed at the bottom. So this is fixed at the bottom, and to release the fine air bubbles from the compressor unit. So this is, as I mentioned, here you have the compressor unit. From there air is coming, and through this pipe basically air is circulated into the entire entire tank. So the tank depth normally kept as 3 to 4 meters. So this height normally kept as 3 to 4 meters. You can imagine 3 to 4 meters means almost one story building height is the height of this aeration tank. So it's a huge structure. Again, depending on the how much quantity of water we have to treat, the size will again vary. And the tank width is 1.5 times its depth. So the width will be 1.5 times of the depth. If depth is 3 meters, then the width will be 4.5 meters. So basically water will percolate through it, and it absorbs. So basically if the depth is more, then the diffuser must be placed at 3 to 4 meter depth below the water surface. So time of aeration will be 10 to 30 minutes. The total water will be resting in this chamber for the 10 to 30 minutes, and 0.2 to 0.4 liter of air is required for 1 liter of water, right? Each liter of water, that much air is required. So water will approximately stay here in this chamber for 30 minutes, and we are basically sending these airs through these pipes, perforated pipes, and basically we are making the aeration done. So again, this is, so if we see, we are basically increasing the efficiency. In the gravity method, basically we make this type of steps, right? In the step, and water will be coming, water will be flowing, like that water will be flowing. So this is the very basic aeration we use if the less quantity of water has to be treated, right? So in that case, we can use the gravity aerator. But if you want to increase the efficiency of a gravity aerator, we can use the last slide, whatever we have discussed, right? That is, we can that fountain aerator we can use, right? So that fountain aerator will have more efficiency than the gravity aerator, and then again the injection or diffused aerator will have more efficiency than the fountain aerator, because here we are so many places we are adding the water, adding the air basically from the water in the water. So it is, so the efficiency will be maximum in this injection or diffused aerator. So if you want to treat the water, for the large quantity, we can choose injection or diffused aerator for that. So again, now you can see already we have discussed three types of aerators, but the cost of construction also will increase. If you, so gravitic aerator, it will be very simplest aerator, and and the very less power is required for that, and the more, it is more economical. Whereas if you want very good quantity of water has to be purified, in that case you can choose in the diffusion type of water. In that case, the cost of construction also will be high. Even the maintenance also will be high, because we have to distribute the air at a very high speed, and ultimately the aeration takes place. Now the last type of aerator we have is the mechanical aerator. So in India, you can see in the rural areas, basically we use this type of mechanical aerator also sometimes. So basically in that, what will happen? So this is a tank, you can say. This tank is, we call it aeration tank, right? So here water is collected. So you can see maybe there in this location we have the reservoir. So from there, what we are collecting the raw water, and it comes first into this aeration tank. So the first step in the water treatment process is the aeration, right? After water coming from raw source, it will first come into aeration tank. It will stay for half an hour or 1 hour depending on the pollution level, and then water will pass to the next chamber. So in this mechanical aerator, basically what happens to the center, if you see, this type of machine will be connected, and this type of machine will simply rotate throughout the tank. Okay, and each machine also will have these three legs. You can see three legs will be there. So this entire part will be rotating to from the entire towards the entire tank. So each portion basically will be rotating. Each three legs will be rotating, and whenever it is rotating, it makes that turbulence into the water. See, you can see these are the turbulence it made. Because of this turbulence, basically, if any gas is present in the water, it will be come out, and oxygen will be dissolved into the water. So ultimately, like that, we are basically escaping the bad water, or actually bad gases, or and we are adding the more oxygen into the water. So that's what, so today we have discussed basically the aeration. Aeration is one of the very key important parameter of water treatment plant. Here basically we are releasing the any dissolved gas present in the water, that will be released, and oxygen will be added into the water. So now you can see that whenever you can see the flow charts. Whenever first step will be to collect the water from the source, and the first chamber water will go is the aeration tank. So in the aeration tank, basically all the dissolved gases we are removing, and we are adding the oxygen into the water. Right. So this is the first step. Now after water stays here for half an hour or 1 hour, depending on our design, water will go to next chamber for the next treatment. So thank you.